Hello Yates County and beyond. Welcome back to another season of Invasive Species Friday. Through this short weekly podcast, we at the Yates CCE hope to bring you information about the invasive species you may see around this county. Invasive species are non-native animals, plants, insects, or pathogens that have a negative impact on the environment, the economy, or human health. The more eyes we can get looking for invasives in the area, the better chance we have to treat, contain, or eradicate them before they cause significant and lasting damage to our environment. If you spot an invasive species mentioned in these podcasts, go to nymapinvasives.org to report the sighting. Citizen scientists like you can make the difference in tracking the spread. So let's jump into Season 2 with this week's invasive, the Callery Pear Tree. The Callery pear is a common ornamental tree in much of the United States. Originally from South China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, it was introduced as a rootstock for domestic pear trees in Maryland in the early 1900s. The rootstock controls the size of the tree, cold hardiness, and even some disease resistance. Cuttings from plants that don't grow well from seed or are particularly susceptible to disease are grafted onto a hardier but often closely related plant with an established root system. This allows the grafted plant to survive longer and thrive in conditions it would not normally be able to. Callery pear rootstock was used to help fight off fire blight in the pear crop. Starting in the 1960s, the Callery pear became a widely planted ornamental, often used to line streets in cities. Also known as the Bradford pear, a common cultivar of the Callery, this invasive can be found throughout the eastern U.S., as far west as Illinois and south down to Texas. It's currently not on the New York State Prohibited and Regulated Plant List, but it has been recently added to the official list in many of the surrounding states. Callery pears grow quickly and can reach up to 60 feet tall, though that height is unlikely due to their weak structure. Its leaves are 2 to 3 inches long and are a rounded, teardrop shape with distinctly wavy, fine-toothed edges. The leaves, which are a shiny dark green, turn scarlet, mahogany, and purple hues late in the fall. The white 5-petal flowers bloom in the early spring, and the fruit, tiny hard pears, mature in the fall, the seeds from which are spread by starlings and other birds. Though there are cultivars of the Callery pear tree that are bred to be sterile, cross-pollination between varieties can result in viable seeds. Wild-grown trees can then interbreed, creating even more viable seeds, furthering the spread. Once established, the Callery pear can form dense thickets within a few years and outcompete native plants for space, water, and nutrients. You may not see the thicket in your yard, but the seeds are transported by birds and possibly small mammals, and grow rapidly in disturbed areas like fields, roadsides, and open canopy forests. The tree can also be spread vegetatively by sending up shoots through its shallow root system. Cutting an established tree can also result in resprouting and new shoots. As previously mentioned, starlings love the fruit once it's soft enough to eat, meaning the Callery pear is a host for the problematic invasive we discussed last season. It's also not well suited to the wind and snowstorms in Yates County, as the weak structure of the wood and branches often result in breakage in these conditions. The tree may be pretty in the spring, but it's not worth the trouble. The most important thing you can do to stop the spread of Callery pear seems like a no-brainer. Don't plant it. There are native alternatives that are just as pretty, if not more beautiful, and are better for wildlife and the environment. However, this tree is not currently regulated in New York, meaning there's nothing preventing it from being sold in garden centers and nurseries. Until it gets on the official list, we need your help to spread the information you learned here today to help stop the spread of this problematic tree. If you decide to get rid of your own Callery pear, it will take some work. Cutting can be temporarily effective, but it should be followed by an herbicide application to really make a difference. There are cut stump, basal bark, and foliar herbicide treatments available. Seedlings can be pulled by hand, but make sure to get as much of the root system as possible, as they can resprout. The plant is also likely to reinvade an area if the seed source remains nearby. Remember, when removing any invasive, ripping the plant out creates a disturbed area, and those are the invader's favorite. It's best to start in the least invaded areas, as well as areas where native vegetation can compete. If you're clearing a large spot of an invasive, you need to keep vigilant for resprouting as well as new threats, especially if you're not reseeding or replanting natives. And with that, we reach the end of this week's episode of Invasive Species Friday. Next Friday, we'll be back with a mystifying aquatic animal. Until then, we at the Yates County CCE thank you for tuning in and supporting our fight against invasive species in Yates County.